You are listening to the Estheticians Earn More podcast with Brittany Hageman, episode number 226. Happy Wednesday and welcome back. This podcast is a little late, mostly because my house got the stomach bug, and that was really fun. Not fun, but I'm back. I'm feeling better, and I really, really, really could not wait to get this podcast out. I didn't want to wait another week, and it is with Jamie Brown, the owner of Refined Skin and Acne Clinic. She is so smart and so business minded and has such a great understanding of this industry. And in today's episode, Jamie talks about how she doubled her business every single year she's been in business. So she started her business at the end of 2022 and made just a couple $1,000s. And then 2023, 2024, 2025, those 3 years, every year doubled her business again and again. She tells you how she did it. And she's also from a really small town. So if you are in a small town and you feel like you can't do this, then listen to this episode. I always go back and listen and edit just to make sure there's anything, like if there's any like weird pauses or something to edit out. And I was like taking so many notes from this episode because she's just a wealth of knowledge. So enjoy Jamie. Jamie, welcome to Estheticians Earning More podcast. I'm so excited to have you.
Thank you, Brittany. It was so great to reconnect with you at the Face Reality Summit. And when you asked me to do this, I was so excited.
So excited. So before we get into how we know each other, let's talk about your story as an esthetician.
Yeah. Okay.
So what did you do out of high school? Let's start there.
So out of high school, I went to college and got a business degree in business management. Yes. And got into finance and technology, and ultimately ended up kind of moving different places as my husband's career evolved. And we ended up on the West Coast. And my career right before becoming an esthetician was working for Apple as a project manager. And I was burnt out. It was a lot of trips to China, a lot of weeks away from the family. And when you're working across the whole globe, you're always on. And so the pandemic happened, and we had the opportunity to come back to the Midwest where all of our family was from. And it really, I think a lot of people took that as an opportunity to reevaluate what was working well in their lives and what wasn't, particularly around their careers. And so being in the Midwest definitely afforded us that opportunity that not both of us needed to be working high-tech jobs from the West Coast. And so I resigned from my position at Apple and decided to do something I was super passionate about, which was skincare. And like many estheticians, my passion for this industry came from my own struggles with acne. So I know that is a very common starting point, launching point for many people. But yeah, that was the deciding factor. Was the summer of 2020, we moved back, and I was like, all right, if I could do this however I wanted, what would I do with my time?
Okay, so how long did you work for Apple before you left in the corporate world?
Yeah, so corporate world was about 16 years. Apple was just the last 3, but primarily focused on, my role was so niche. It was helping the businesses, the business groups, so whether that's finance or marketing, accounting, helping them work with the IT team to develop tools and systems that support their business needs. So there's a big disconnect with the corporate world being able to speak engineering speak. And I married a software engineer. So this is truly, I have this skill set. And so that was really my job, was just kind of bringing those two groups of people together to solve their problems and to roll out projects. And then the last 3 years at Apple, I was working on their iPhone project. So I would go out to China quite regularly, and, they launch a new phone every single year. Yeah. So rinse and repeat. We were out there a lot, and it was a big burden on the family.
That's my husband, as you know, travels, he's a pilot, and it's hard. And I can only imagine you leaving to go to China. I didn't realize you were going to China. You worked for Apple, but I
Yeah.
didn't realize you were going to China.
And the kids were young then too. So
Little.
we would have to fly out help to come and babysit the kids to help just get through they'd send you out there for 2 weeks at a time.
Okay.
So we were constantly flying out a mother or mother-in-law to just come and support while I was gone.
I hope they flew them first class.
Apple definitely flies their employees business class, first class, for sure, for sure. But the mother-in-laws and the moms, I don't know that they got that same treatment.
That's a long flight.
Yeah, to China, absolutely. Yes, 14 hours, 14 hours. Yes. So it was wild.
Okay. And so did you meet your husband in college? What college did you go to?
We did. We met at a college. It's now called Trine University.
Okay.
And that is in northeastern Indiana. And we met there and got married in 2007. So I think we're celebrating 19 years this year.
You were babies.
Yeah, we were babies. I was 21. Had just turned 21. Wild.
Yeah, 2007. How old was I? Yeah, I was like around the same age. I think probably around the same age. Yeah, so you were babies. Got married, and then you guys, and does he still work in the tech world?
He does, yep. He still works for Apple, and we're lucky enough that he can do that remotely here in the Midwest, and yeah.
Okay, so then you had kids, and then you decided to go back to esthetician school, and did you went in the Midwest?
Yes.
Okay, so you went to school. Yep. How long was the program?
It was 9 or 10 months. It was a part-time program. So we weren't there the full days. And I started in the summer of 2021. And this is just so funny. With this being a 9 to 10 month program, 1 month into the program is when I found out I was pregnant.
So I was going to ask you, what point did you get pregnant?
Oh my gosh. And so the due date and my graduation date were 2 weeks apart. And it was brutal. I mean, esthetician school is brutal anyway. But then added a giant belly. And I remember the last month of aesthetic school, we were doing our lash extension certification. And then I had to do 10 full sets of lashes with a 9-month pregnant belly.
Oh my gosh.
My 10th model was my mom. And I probably got her about 40% lash before I just started sobbing. I was like, can we be done? Yeah. She's like, are they finished? I'm like, no, they're not.
No, my back, was your back just killing you?
Yes. It was really, really brutal.
So you got so my esthetician school was like, what I learned was terrible. So like we didn't learn nothing. So you learned lash certification.
Yeah, it was a really DIY learning experience. Yeah, I hear from a lot of estheticians that their program was underwhelming. And I often just tell people, like, you get out of it what you put into it.
Yeah.
They are simply trying to prepare you for state boards and to be safe and hygienic for the general public.
Right.
If you actually want to be good at your job, you're going to have to do continuing education, mentorship, work under somebody. It's going to take a lot more than just your basic aesthetic school. But some people have a great experience. I'm super jealous.
Same. Like we were so bored, just waiting like to clock out to get our hours every day, that I would just bring my makeup kit and be like, I need to practice makeup. And people at first were very willing, and they were like, I don't want to do my makeup anymore. And I was like, I have to do something. I can't just sit here all day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like calling favors in from everyone. Please come get a facial for me, because I can't just sit here all day waiting for my hour to come up.
Yep. It was quite the challenge.
Okay, yeah. So you had two older boys, and then you have a daughter, right?
So right? I have a 14-year-old girl, 11-year-old boy, and now a 3-year-old. Yeah, a 3-year-old boy.
3-year-old boy. Okay, so I have it wrong. You have the older girl and 2 boys. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so then you graduate esthetician school. You have a brand new baby. When did you sit for state boards?
So graduated aesthetic school April 25th, sat for state boards, had Asher May 13th, so 2 weeks later, sat for state boards June 10th, so less than a month after having the baby. I remember getting done with the test, and I was waiting for a friend so that we could sit together in the parking lot and get our results. But I had to get back to this baby ASAP. I was nursing at the time, and I'm like, peace, I gotta go. Good luck to you. I hope you passed. I gotta run. So that was pretty brutal. Sleepless nights, studying for state boards, 1 month, less than a 1-month-old baby. It was wild, but I was so determined, and I was and I am still just so lit up by our industry and what we get to do. And so it didn't feel like a lot of work then. Like it was all very exciting. I was excited to sit for state boards. I was excited for what was next.
Yeah. But having a newborn baby, I mean, I guess it was your third, so you knew kind of what to expect.
Yes. And with the age gap, the older kids were so helpful.
Yeah. Yeah. You didn't have a household of small children to take care of.
Right.
But still, I can't imagine, like, when I had a newborn baby, I was, like, barely alive. My brain capacity was so little.
Yeah. Yeah. It was really rough.
Like, I didn't wash my face for months, and I didn't brush my teeth every day, which is, like, crazy because I brush my teeth, like, religious. Like, I was, like, barely alive. So
barely getting by.
Yeah, I don't even know how you did that. You just were determined. Why were you determined?
I love working. I've known from a very early age that I was not like wired to be a stay-at-home mom. And as much as I love my kids, love my family, love my home, I really enjoy having a purpose outside of the house. And so leaving Apple and going to school was so fun for me. I really enjoy learning. Could be a lifetime. Like if I could just sign up for college course after college course after college course, I would be the happiest person on the planet. But unfortunately, it doesn't pay any bills. So as soon as I graduated school, I knew I needed some time to take care of the baby and take care of myself postpartum, but I wanted to get working right away. I enjoyed it. I loved doing clinicals at school. I just loved it. And so I could not wait to get started.
So then how quickly after you took state boards, I can't remember, did you work for someone or did you just open your own business? You must have just opened your own business.
Correct. And that was not what I wanted to do. And I know that's not typically the guidance and advice that most people are given after aesthetic school. I do think that my age and previous work experience benefited me a lot in terms of structuring the business and rolling it out and processes, and obviously having the business degree and finance and technology background was all so very helpful. Yeah. But the imposter syndrome was real of doing this new skill that you are so freshly taught. And now you are touching and treating real clients that are paying real money, and it's on you to fix their skin concern.
Yeah. Yeah. So tell me more about that. Like, how did you deal with it? Because you were very professionally accomplished. You had a big girl job doing big girl things, going to China, like high level position. You weren't getting paid minimum wage and just like any old job. Yeah. And so you had that business experience, but then how did you overcome the imposter syndrome, I guess?
Yeah. Well, first off, I want to say in August, I filed like the articles of incorporation and really started the groundwork for the business. So getting the LLC filed, setting up an online website, a booking platform, all of that. So I did a lot of legwork before we even opened our doors on November 2nd.
Okay.
So there was some prep work before we got started, but as soon as I started taking clients in November, I realized very quickly that the confidence just was not there. And I was going to need to take all that continuing education to make myself feel comfortable. And that's when at the time you were offering something called Confident Acne Specialist.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And I'm like, well, that's what I need. Holy moly. And I think we did a scoping call and I got on the phone with you and I'm like, I had my first client and for acne and I followed the face reality protocol to a T, but he's a FITS 4 and I gave him acne med 5 and I'm afraid that his skin's not going to be able to tolerate it. And I was spiraling. And I will never forget what you said to me. You were like, Jamie, do you know his skin is having a bad reaction? And I said, no. And so basically just you challenging that thought process of like, is this thought helpful to you? And is it true?
Is it true? Yeah.
Do you have any evidence to support that this client is struggling with the acne med that you prescribed him?
Yeah.
No. And he was my very first success case in clearing his skin. And I'm still so incredibly grateful to him and to you to this day of just having another resource to bounce that off of, especially as a solo esthetician, fresh out of school. I was working in a hair salon. And so sure, I had other colleagues and coworkers I could talk to, but hair and skin is so different.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so different. And And sadly, a lot of people in the industry will give you bad advice.
Yeah.
You know, like sometimes you ask people if they feel competitive with you, will give you bad advice. I have seen that. I've seen that a little bit with myself and a lot with my clients where they're like, oh, so-and-so thinks this. And I'm like, that is terrible advice. Don't listen to them. So yeah, it can be isolating because you don't know who to trust. You don't know who, like what. And you're so cute because yeah, I mean, I do remember that. I remember that. I remember thinking I mean, everyone has those panics. I've had those panics. If I didn't really remember that,
awake, like worrying about him, he was fine.
He's totally fine. He was just living his life, using the acne pad, not a problem. Didn't bleach his skin. All the terrible fears that you're up at night, like I just ruined his skin, and he's gonna sue me, and I'm never,
really? Like you think the worst. You think the absolute worst. But the one biggest learning lesson throughout all of that was I do think that when I opened my doors, I wanted to provide everybody this mind-blowing experience. I wanted when they left that they saw and felt and really knew that a change had happened in their skin. And I probably did that too aggressively at times, of just so eager to show them results that I wasn't being as careful and cautious as I should. And that was a great learning lesson of like, just start slow, make sure everybody has a great foundation and grow from there. And that was a huge learning lesson though.
Yeah, I think all estheticians go through that where you're like, I'm going to put this peel on them and it's going to change their skin. And then you're like, oh, that was not the best choice. They're peeling.
Yeah, you're so eager to please and to give these clients results that, yeah, sometimes it's just not in their best interest.
And okay, so that was when we started working together. And then how did your confidence grow? Was it just over time? Was it just, good old doing treatments and seeing you could do it? And
yes, absolutely. I mean, I think once you get a couple of clear cases under your belt, you're like, okay, this methodology really truly does work most of the time, very, very successfully. And so once I got a few of those under my belt, then I was ready to go.
And so then do you remember, I should have asked you before, but do you remember what your sales were your first year in business? I think, do you know those numbers?
I do. Yeah. So the first year I had started in November. So November to December, it was, I don't know, 6,000, nothing, nothing too exciting. And then the year of 2023 would have been my first full year in business. And I did 60K.
Yeah.
And that was with me working 3 days a week. Okay. So I was so excited with that. I thought that was so awesome and couldn't wait to see where I went the next year. So 2024, we doubled and I brought in 120K. And that was the year that I really focused on breaking that 100K mark and had even done a workshop with you on reaching that 100K milestone. And so just being so laser focused on that goal, I think was so helpful for 2024.
Do you remember, before you tell me 2025, do you remember what specific things besides just being focused on the goal that you did to double your business?
So I raised prices and that was so difficult.
I remember talking to you, I feel like, about this, if I remember correctly.
Yes. It was one of my most challenging limiting beliefs that we had to work through was, and I wrote it down too, I am comfortable charging for my services. I didn't want to. Because this comes from a place of passion and because all I wanted to do was help people avoid the same struggle with their acne that I did. And because my family's livelihood is not dependent on this business, I felt terrible charging any amount of money for my services.
Yeah. And I think that's a common thing for women, even if their finances are tied to what they make is how they live. So many women are like, but I know so-and-so client makes X and I don't want to charge her because then how is she going to pay? And we're doing too much. That's not your job to figure out if they can afford it or not.
Yep. That was very helpful and very insightful. And just having a framework to do the pricing, because coming into it right out of school, I kind of just looked at the area and then came in low. Like, hey, I'm a baby esty. I don't have all of the skills and knowledge. I'm not going to charge you the same price that somebody who's been doing this for 5 or 10 years would. But very quickly, I grew confidence in what I was doing. Receiving that money for that service didn't feel right or worth it anymore. The
Mm-hmm,
amount of
mm-hmm.
effort and energy that I had to show up with and to perform that service and then to get $60 was like,
Yeah.
I could actually just be home with my kids and that would be fun too. And I do love what I do, but wow, it's just not even covering the expenses at this point.
Yeah.
And so it was really helpful to have that framework because the pricing in the beginning was emotionally driven. And
Mm-hmm.
then the 2024 adjustment was with facts. And when you have facts to support your numbers, you don't feel guilty charging what you need to make the business thrive.
Say it louder for the kids in the back, because that is like, I always am like, we have to look at your actual numbers, like what actually is, not what you want it to be, not what it feels like, not what you think it is, like what it actually is. Because usually what we think our numbers are is not at all what the numbers are.
Yes.
And so you may think like, oh, I'm making money. And then you like look at everything, you're like, no, I'm actually losing money because I'm not charging enough or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not selling a product, not, whatever it is.
Yeah. I will say the best thing that I did was get a receptionist because then it never, like blissfully unaware that we're even collecting dollar bills. It's so nice.
You're just,
I don't have to say,
you're an employee almost. Like, see you later.
Yes. I get to, give my clients the aftercare guidance and recommend whatever products they may need. And then I just leave it up to the receptionist and I say bye. And it's the most pleasant. Oh, it's just so nice.
I love it so much. That is a great workaround if it's comfortable for you.
Truly. And then the first year was holding my cell phone out with a little square reader sticking out the bottom of it, asking for money. I felt like a panhandler. It's weird.
It's weird charging money for your time and service. It is a very uncomfortable thing for everyone, I think, for most people.
Yeah.
But then, and I think like one of the things that you were saying, like $60 wasn't enough. It's like they call it the resentment number. Like if there's a number where you're being paid and you're resentful, you're like, I am doing this for $60.
Yeah.
And then now you like hate the person for coming in. You're like, that's the problem. Like we can't be resentful for someone for paying, you know what I mean? For whatever they're paying. Yeah. We have to be like, yes, amazing. I can't wait to see you and make that money versus like, oh, really again?
In all areas of the business, I'm trying to mitigate and minimize any emotional response. So if I'm ever feeling triggered by a late cancellation, by a client comment, by whatever that may be, or like you said, feeling a little like the price is not matching up and you're starting to get a little resentful, if anything is coming up for me emotionally, I know that there is either a policy or a system or a boundary that is not clearly set. Because I shouldn't feel like this.
Yes, let's talk more about that. That is actually so important and so profound. And I think a lot of estheticians are constantly running their business on how they feel and how their clients make them feel. Yeah. And it's a very vicious cycle.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And I am not by any means saying I have it all figured out. I definitely am human too and experience that same range of emotion. But it's just such a good warning indicator that like, you're not operating from the right headspace right now.
And like I always say, like the way that I look at business, and this is the same for my business today as it was when I was in San Diego, it's like businesses are roller coasters and they go up really high and then they drop really low. And like, it's not even just income. It's like a client comment or, just like conversations that just like didn't feel good or felt weird, or you're just personally feeling burned out or tired, like whatever, like the highs and the lows of business, they come and they go. And if you go high for every high and you go low for every low, you are like, you have to just stay on the ground. Like you can't like, you just can watch the roller coaster, but you can't ride it.
Right.
You know, you can be like, oh, this is a good day in business. But if you go high in that, you're going to drop back down. And that drop is going to feel so much more significant than if you're just like, you just watch it go up and down.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And then, okay, so in 2024, did you get a receptionist?
I did. So in 2024, I got a leased storefront on a main street in our area. And I brought in a receptionist and I hired my friend and classmate from esthetician school, Sophie.
Amazing.
I know, it was so much fun. Yes. And so she helped me wrap up 2024. She started in October of that year.
Okay.
Yes.
And then 2025, you brought on another person.
Yes. Yes.
So you had a whole entourage with you at the Face Reality Summit.
Yes. Yeah. They're so awesome. I am building truly the most incredible team. So my purpose of getting into this in the very beginning, I had opened my books for literally 1 day per week. And I was like, well, let's see how they respond. Let's see if there's any interest in this area. I live in a very rural area, and I simply did not know if anybody even wanted this type of service. And the response just keep growing and growing. And I kept feeling like I needed to add more hours. But then that wasn't what was working well for my family. And so to help support the demand of the business, I had to bring on teammates to help handle the client workload.
Amazing.
And now my goal is just to continue to build out this team. I've got Sophie, Lindsay, myself, Murphy, who does our marketing and office management, and to have this be a very like self-sustaining business. And each of my providers can, we've figured out days and times for their work schedule that works for their lives. I think as service providers, especially in the beauty industry, we give so much. And when our clients need to get in before a vacation, or they waited too long to book before Christmas, that we're so accommodating. And it was very detrimental too. Like I saw a client, I'm not even kidding you, on Christmas Eve morning.
Oh no, Jake.
I know. And that was an eye opener for me.
A time turn for you.
Yeah. Like that does not align with my values for my business or for my family. We will not be doing that again.
They are very persistent, those acne clients. I always say they're like, when I have like estheticians that are just starting to do acne, and like they are like a rabid dog, and they will get what they want, and you just have to be very clear with them because they will push you until they get what they want. Like they're not messing around.
They aren't. They take it very seriously. I've got great clients, and I remember that desperation very clearly. Of just, I would rub gasoline on my face if you told me to clear my acne. I did not. I would do anything anybody told me.
And that the upside of that is they tend to listen if they believe you, and then the downside is they can be very strong-willed.
Yeah. And there's a lot of competing information out there. And so I just try to help my clients to the best of my ability with the information that I have, that I've seen work time and time again. And sometimes it works, and sometimes a client does not receive it well. Meaning they just hear the advice and they just don't execute. And I've really learned to separate that, as that is not necessarily a failure on my part. Yeah. And trying to not
how do you learn to separate that? Because I think that's a challenge for so many esthetician business owners.
Yeah. I mean, I think just having a very standard process for onboarding our acne clients and coaching them through diet and lifestyle, you had actually created a puzzle piece image, and I still use it to this day because I think it very easily shows people there's 4 puzzle pieces that complete the whole puzzle. And it's treatments, products, or like their home care routine, diet, and lifestyle. And so it makes it for a very easy conversation when we're 12 weeks, 16 weeks in to their clearing journey and they're not getting the results that they want, that I can show them this puzzle piece and say, I am doing everything I can from the 2 pieces I own. We now have to get really curious about what's going on in diet and lifestyle, because there's some other factor here. I can only help you topically. We've got to get to the bottom of what is the root cause of this for you.
Yeah. And I love the word curious, because I think if you're curious with your clients, curiosity is actually one of my core values, because if you're curious with your clients, they tend not to be as defensive. They tend to like want to solve the problem versus get defensive and be like, well, I'm doing everything you told me to do. Like, it's fine.
Yeah.
Okay, so what were your 2025 numbers?
So 2025, with having Lindsay didn't join us until the end of the year, but we hit 280 last year.
Wow.
So more than doubled from the year before. And And I've stepped back a day. I only work 2 days a week now.
Amazing.
Yes. Well, I say that, and I want to be very, very clear. I work 2 treatment days a week.
That's right. I was just going to clarify.
You're
still working.
A lot.
You're working, just not in the treatment room.
Right.
Okay, so if you double, if you double, you probably don't even know. What's your goal for this year then?
I have not really, I've not really calculated that out. I know, right?
Have a strategy session and figure out your goal.
Truly, I would love to talk to you and do a one-on-one.
You could do 600,000. You could do 600,000.
Okay, wow, let's do it. All right, I'm writing it down. It's done.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, we're going to be back here in a year and I'm going to be like, guess what?
Yes. I've been telling all my clients this actually. And for the listener, this is obviously recorded earlier and then it's going to come out. So you'll be hearing this like probably in February. But in January, I've been doing a lot of like strategy calls over goals. And I love looking back at the calls I did last January and February with people and like how they literally hit their numbers and succeeded, like based on what we're like, oh, this is what we can do. You can do, like, do this. Like, this is how you're going to do it. Like, this is the plan. Let's go.
Yeah. I definitely need to get better with that. Again, I started this of just from the mentality of let's just see. Let's see what the response is. And the response is there. I think this has just turned into such a big girl business that I didn't ever intend.
I'm just like looking, like I'm taking some notes at things you're saying and like 60 to 120 to 280, like that is almost unheard of to double your business year after year. It's very hard to do.
Very hard.
It's common to
and so when you ask me about where are my 2026 goals, I want to be very real with everybody listening, as I think that this is so common in the aesthetic industry of that burnout. So I saw you last in October at the Quality Summit, and that was so much fun. And then we came back and we were training Lindsay and we brought on a new receptionist, and unfortunately that was a mishire and we had to get rid of her about a month or two later, and I had team members traveling for the holiday, and it was very clear to me in November that I had reached burnout and I was not doing well at all.
Yeah.
So I went ahead and looked out, my books are open 60 days in advance, and I went ahead and just closed my books for the entire month of January so that I could breathe and strategize and come up with a better plan for 2026. Because again, with it just being so heart-led and let's see what happens is not a good plan. And now having a team of other women who are relying on the success of this business for their livelihood, it's so important that I take this very seriously now, because it's affecting so much more than just my livelihood.
Yeah. And that's a big thing to like hold.
Yeah.
I'm assuming at Apple and your previous corporate jobs, you had responsibilities similar that were big, that if you didn't do your job, it was a big consequence for people. So it's not an uncommon responsibility, but it is different when you are like, I think it's similar. And since you're a mom, I feel like this is a similar thing. Like something that I've had a hard time with being a mom, which is similar to being a business, is like I am the final knot on the rope. Like there's no one below me as a mom. Like I am the saver. I am the last resort. I am the like, she's up all night sick, I am comforting her all night. Like there's no one to call. Like especially because my husband's gone all the time, like flying. Like there's no like, I can't tap out a lot of the times. It is just what it is. And it's the same thing with being a business owner. Like there's no one to call. Like you can't be like, okay, I'm going to just take the next month off. Like a traditional job. Like you have saved your PTO and you can just take your time off and like disconnect from your job. You're the final, you're it, like it all ends your responsibility at the end of the day. And I think being a mom, if that's like your main role, and then also being a business owner, like that double responsibility can be very overwhelming and exhausting.
Yeah. It does. It feels you're just a mom at home of children. You're a mom at work of employees, of a team that is relying on you to lead the way.
Everyone's always looking at you for direction. Like at home, it's
But
like, what's for dinner? What are we doing?
Exactly.
Like, and then you're like at work, everyone's like, what are we doing? What's happening? And you're like, I am not, like, it can be very suffocating, I think.
Yeah, it absolutely can. So finding the right people is so critically important. And the two estheticians that I get to work with are so self-managing and so passionate about what they do. So it's been a lot of fun to watch them grow, but there still is a mentorship, coaching opportunity, and to make sure that everybody's performing at the same standard that we expect for the business. We love to encourage our clients to see whichever provider works for their schedule.
Yeah.
And so it's very important that we're providing a very uniform service.
Yeah, and you can have the best employees in the world. You can have the best kids, and it's still stressful.
It's still hard, and it's still a lot of work. Yeah,
and there's so many buckets. And the reason I'm talking to you about this, Jamie, and for the listener, you may be like, why is Brittany talking about this? But we talked about in the Face Reality Summit, like a podcast you'd listen to of mine, where I was like, I can only do so much every week. And last week, I got a lot done at work, and I got a lot of meal prepping done, and I did not do the exercises I planned, and I had not cleaned the house very much. So the house was a disaster, and I did not do I can only do so much every week. Every week, if I'm going to get all those buckets done, it's not physically possible. And I think if we push ourselves to get all those buckets done all the time is when the burnout hits hard.
Absolutely. And it's the biggest thing, asking for help, delegating, finding the right person for that job. So I am very bookkeeping averse, which is so funny for spending my entire corporate career in finance and technology and budgeting for Apple and all of the things. And maybe that's why.
Yeah.
But when I have to sit down and do sales tax or look at expenses and categorize, I just shut down. I'm like a kid having a tantrum. I absolutely hate it. So I hired a bookkeeper, and now now my workload in that area is so much less.
Yes, where you can delegate it if you have the finance. That's the other thing, is if you're a newer business owner, you don't have the cash, you have to do a lot of things you don't want to do. I see this a lot with social media. People I just want a social media manager. I'm like, first of all, if they're good, they're expensive. And second of all, you still have to do a lot of work. You can't just completely abdicate social media usually. And I wanted to ask you, one of the things that you said is that you did grow quickly. How did you grow quickly?
So we're in a very rural area, and word of mouth is everything. And so honestly, the first year I was in business, actually, we still get clients to this day that say, I had no idea you guys even existed. It's the first 2 years I was in business, I did almost no marketing. Wow. And it was kind of just if you knew, you knew. And I really enjoyed that. It was this little hidden gem business of my books were full. Exciting. And so if you knew about it, you knew about it. If you didn't, okay, whatever. You're just not on the ends, whatever. And then when I got the team, I'm like, oh, crap. We do need to market, and people do need to know what sets us apart from other spas, especially, for us being in rural Midwest, Northwestern Ohio. Aesthetics is rolling out here a little slower. When I lived in California back in 2020, they were everywhere. And I moved here and there was no one. And which is wild. And I definitely attribute that to our growth is kind of being first in the area and saving people a large commute to a nearby bigger city. But for sure, there's new estheticians coming out every single day. And it's just so important to show people who you are, what your business values and what your mission is and why you're different. Because I think a lot of people just think we're a spa. And that is not at all how I feel about Refined Skin and Acne Clinic. We are not a spa.
Yeah. And how do you show people that, who you are, what makes you unique, all of that? How do you communicate that to people?
Yeah. I mean, one of our kind of scripture statements is results with relaxation. I always felt when I was looking for skincare experts, especially when I was dealing with acne, it was either a leather medical chair, fluorescent lights, chemical peel, pick, poke, whatever, you're gone.
Yep.
Or it was this beautiful spa with cucumber water and robes and slippers, and it didn't feel like I was getting the results. I wouldn't come out of there with product recommendations or a treatment plan or any sort of guidance as to where to go next. And we really try to build a relationship with our clients of, when you come in for the first time, we want to sit down and consult with you and understand everything it is about your skin that's bothering you, what is currently working in your skincare routine and what might not be. Are you using your products in the right order? Are the ingredients what's best for your actual skin concerns? And then we develop a treatment plan and product recommendations that never feel like selling because they are coming to us and marking on a form, I have concerns with wrinkles, dark spots, this, that, whatever. And then we are simply responding to that request with guidance. And that has been the biggest shift in like the sales mentality.
Yes.
I worked at a Dillard's while I was in aesthetic school at the makeup counters, and it was so much fun just to kill time. And that's actually where I met Sophie. And then we found out we were going to be starting esthetician school together, but here nor there.
Wow.
You know, obviously, and you've worked retail too, they're very big on dollar sales, but also number of units per transaction. And so I get a client come to my counter asking for an eyeliner, and I'd be asked, why didn't I sell them a lip product? Why didn't I show her some perfume? And I was like, ew, I cannot do that.
Yeah.
And that was the defiant, I was done. I was like, I can't do that. I can't sell to specific metrics and numbers. I'm not going to recommend something that somebody's not asking me for.
Right.
So Refined Skin and Acne Clinic, we never focus on volume. We are that direct, unique hand-holding service to that one client's skin concern.
And do you know like what your sales mix are, like how your product sales were in 2025?
Yeah, we did.
You're telling us. This is so incredible, Jamie.
60%. Thank you. 60% of our revenue was services. So 40% products.
So like that is, for the listener, if you've listened to the podcast for a while, you know that's what I say is like the gold standard. You need to be at least 40% products, 60% services. And if you want to really take off in money, you want to be like 60% products and 40% services. So but you can also sell it the way that Jamie is saying, which is like they're asking to buy help. They want help.
They want help. Yeah. And to not recommend anything for their skin concerns, you're doing them a disservice.
And yeah, you're not selling them anything they don't need or want. That's when it becomes, I think, unethical, and that's when it becomes a little bit weird. But if you're like, yeah, like your skin is super dry, this cleanser, your skin's going to feel amazing after the first use, and then they go home and they use it and they love it and they buy it again, like everyone's happy.
Everyone wins. Yeah. And I only give my clients the same advice I would give my mother.
Yeah.
My reputation is everything to me, and especially in a smaller community, if my goal were just dollars in sales, that will catch up to you.
Yeah. If you don't care about people.
Yeah.
I was just writing down, how big is your community? Like how many people would you say?
4,000.
Only 4,000 people. Okay, I want the listener to hear this because the amount of clients, you know who you are, that are in bigger like areas that are like, there's 30,000 people here. There's no one here. And I'm like, 30,000 people? You don't need that many people to be fully booked.
Yeah. And I have 2 other providers. And I mean, again, none of us are full time. I'm in 2 days a week. Lindsay's in 3 days a week, 3, sometimes 4, because we alternate Saturdays. So she's either a 3-day work week or 4. And Sophie's either a 4-day work week or 5, depending on the alternating Saturdays. So none of us are working full time.
But I'm sure you could.
We could. Right now, the only limitation there is our lease space. We have 2 rooms.
Yeah.
So 3 providers, 2 rooms that we're at max capacity.
Yeah. You're moving people around all the time.
Yeah. So I am looking to do that potentially in 2026 or 2027, but that's a lot of work.
Yeah.
And I'm not eager to jump on it unless it's the right opportunity.
And like, again, I think for a rural area, like this was one of my friends who also was a client of mine who moved to Indiana and did sugaring, and there was no one within like 200 miles that did sugaring. And so she was from California as well. She was my next door neighbor, actually. She was next to me when I was working in San Diego. And she in San Diego, within 3 miles, you can find like 5 people who sugar. So it's not like, and not to say that that's a problem because there's so many more people there, again, like hundreds of thousands of people. So again, like there's still plenty of people for the amount of, it's all relative. And like, I think one of the things that was really successful about the way that you approached your business is you approached it from a business mindset of like, there's a need.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to fill that need. No one else is out here doing this. I'm going to make sure everyone, like, I'm sure you let everyone know this is what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And do you have mostly teen clients? Like, what's your clientele?
Yeah, so teens for sure for our acne program, our clear skin program, but also young adults, especially women in their 30s, seem to be really struggling with their skin right now with, hormones and birth control coming on and off of it. There's a whole demographic there that's really struggling with their skin right now too. But teens, and I mean, even women hitting that perimenopause, menopause age are getting some adult acne that they didn't deal with in the past either. So really to narrow down that demographic, yes, it is primarily teens, but we see all age groups. And we do have kind of two sides of the house. We've got the acne clinic, but I also do facials, and I really enjoy doing advanced corrective facials. We incorporate some enzymatic or even a light chemical peel in almost every service that we do. And so we very much focus on correction, but with a level of comfort and relaxation that is just so nice.
I love it. I love it. I was going to ask you what your goals are for this year, but you're still trying to figure that out.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I kind of got off on a tangent, but I was just basically saying, we were really hitting that burnout hard at the tail end of 2025. And so now taking this time off here in January, I am looking to streamline all of that. We're kind of creating all of our events for the year, planning that out, our marketing strategy. We're doing some print materials. We're going to update the website. And in all of this, most definitely will be goal setting financially for not only just each provider individually, but the business as a whole. But truly, if you would have asked me about goals a couple months ago, I probably would have just broken down and cried because I was so overwhelmed and
totally.
There was just too much happening all at once. And it was a great growing pain. And I'm glad that it's kind of smoothed out. But those, like we said, with that roller coaster, the highs are high and the lows are so, so low. And I had somebody challenge my thinking about, I was just so disgruntled about that tail end of last year and how burnt out I was. And somebody had asked me, what can you celebrate from that time frame? And it didn't feel like there were any wins. And she said to me, she's like, well, how about this? You didn't let anybody down. And, like Christmas still happened for the family and the team still got their payroll and their books were, filled and the business was taken care of, family was taken care of. Unfortunately, it was at the sacrifice of my own physical and mental health. But everything got done and no long-term repercussions happened from that crazy time period. And a lot of learning lessons occurred. And now we're taking this time here in January to really reset, refocus, reprioritize, and plan a better, easier 2026.
What advice would you give to someone who is in your shoes, who is maybe in that burnout place that you were in, or they can see it coming?
Yeah. Rest.
Yeah. Rest is so powerful.
Rest. And if you can't take an entire month off, take a day. Your clients do not know why your books are not available. They don't know if you're fully booked that day or if you're on vacation or what. Carve out time for you if you're feeling overwhelmed.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I schedule rest every day in my schedule because I'm like, when I'm with my clients, I'm all cylinders are running. When I'm with my daughter, all cylinders are running. Like, there isn't rest in so many parts of my day, which before, when I just worked for myself, I had a lot more freedom and flexibility in my day where I would rest here and rest there. But I don't have that anymore. And so I had to, as someone who loves to achieve and loves to be busy and loves to be working, I had to schedule rest, which is very hard, I think, for an achiever. Do you know what your Enneagram is by chance?
I don't. I did at some point, but I don't. What do you think it is?
You're probably a 3. I'm a 3, which is an achiever.
Okay.
You're probably an achiever, which is I just love to achieve. I love to have a goal. I love to go after something that's scary and new and different and what else can I do and learn and change and all the things.
But truly slowing down enough to celebrate whatever you just accomplished. I never did that before. I would just set a goal, achieve it, and what's next?
Yeah.
You have to take a moment to pat yourself on the back because no one else is going to do it for you.
There's no parade. Like
There's no parade.
my business coach, she did $1 million year, I guess. It must have been $1 million year. It wasn't $1 million a month. It was $1 million year. And she was like, I like looked outside and was like, where's the parade? Like, no one knew. No one cared. Like, it just like, everything was the same. Like, you know, like her kids still, like her daughter still threw a fit on the, you know, like every life is the same. You're just, you hit the goal, which is great. But like your whole life doesn't just change overnight with one goal. At least that's been my experience.
Yeah.
Your experience too.
Yeah. You think you're going to feel a certain way, super accomplished, or that like the amount of times I've told myself in my head, as soon as this is done, as soon as I accomplish this, as soon as X, as soon as Y, and then that happens. And really, truly, nothing does change.
Like, yeah, if I had, because we met in 2023? No,
2020. Yeah, 2023 is when we started working in January. Early,
okay.
Yep.
Okay, that must, okay. So I must have still been in California. Yeah. So if I had told you just 3 years ago that you would have just finished a $280,000 a year, you would have like,
I would have never believed you.
Crazy.
No. Yeah. That was not even on the radar of feasibility for me.
Yeah. And then you did it and you're like, okay, yeah, and next. And it just like shows how our brains are. Like we all are like that. Like it's like, yeah, big deal. Anyways, because like we don't if you made $5,000 and then you think 280,000, like you think that all your problems go away and you're just like blissfully moving through the world.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. In terms of, but so like that feeling of always wanting that next, I'm very intentionally coming into 2026 as more of a leveling out year. I'm not looking to bring on any new skincare lines, any new devices or modalities, any new treatment protocols.
Yeah.
We've had so much change so quickly that even when we do go to sit down to do goal forecasting for 2026, I think it's going to be roughly based on what I think we can actually achieve and probably not much more of just, let's just continue to come together as a team, smooth out some of the bumps, and let's just make this a year that we just come together and really polish up what we've created.
Yeah, that is so important because also if you are always growing, things start to fall through the cracks.
Oh, truly, we're seeing it all the time with systems and bookings, policies. Websites age so quickly, it's surprising.
I know. I just like had to get new headshots. I'm like, oh my gosh, like all this is so old. Like my website was like looks so old. I'm like, oh my gosh, I had to get a new theme. Yeah.
Yeah, it ages so quickly. I'm so surprised. But another thing I want people to understand is that you get to define what success looks like for you. So when you're hearing all of these numbers and you're like, well, she did these numbers, you don't know how many hours that person is working. You don't know what delegated support they have. You don't know whether they have kids or not. There's all these limitations on how successful a business can be. And so I don't know if you got to attend one of the classes at the conference, CJ. Do you know CJ? She's an ambassador. I listened to her and she had talked about how she had built up her business to managing, I think, almost like 10 estheticians.
Yeah, CJ Williams.
And then she had a baby and unraveled all of that and is back to being a solo provider. So even what looked like incredible success to her and to everyone else looking from the outside in was not what was going to continue to be rewarding to her in that next chapter of life. And truly that's been a great mindset shift of we don't need to always be chasing more. Building this business to serve my lifestyle, to serve my family, whether that's the time that I put into it or the money that's coming from it, is all within my control. And I get to define what that success looks like.
Yeah. And I think like exactly what you said is if we start to compare other people, we start to feel left behind. It's like, oh, well, I've been in business since 2015 and here's Jamie who's been in business like, and now she's done, and then that can really start to mess with people's mind versus like everyone's circumstances are different. Everyone's goals are different. What success looks like for everyone is different. The reason I ask for numbers is because I always want to challenge people's ideas that they can make money, because there is a perception that
especially in my rural area. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Like there's always a perception of like there's no money, or that's it, or you can't grow, or you can't make this kind of money. And that's one of my goals with this podcast more than anything, is like, women, we can make a lot of money doing this, and it doesn't have to be like, it's not impossible. It can be very strategic.
Yeah.
But also we are human beings and we have limits of like how much we can do. And that's important to have too. What advice do you have to moms that are having their own esthetician business?
Gosh, time management and mindset. You have to keep dialing that in and finding a routine that works for you. You cannot put your self-care on the back burner. It will catch up to you. So giving at home, and then giving nonstop at work. If you are not adequately carving out time for fitness, for meal planning and prepping, for getting adequate amounts of sleep, it will come and get you. It will get you.
It'll knock you out.
It will knock you out. The lows are low.
Yeah, it's ironic that you talked about CJ, because she's also going to be on my podcast, and she was scheduled to record today as well.
No way.
She messaged me and she was like, I was up all night and like I don't feel good. Like I'm coming, but it's not going to be my best self. And I was like, oh my God, let's reschedule. Yeah. Like she's like, no, like I never, like she doesn't want to reschedule because she's like an achiever too. And I'm like, I get it. Like I hate reschedule. Like I never rescheduled before I had a child. Yeah. Like I never rescheduled. I was always like on everything all the time. And now I'm always like, she's like, again, we got to reschedule. Like I don't, like there's no, like it is what it is. You got to roll the punches.
I appreciate that so much, because it's going to impact her energy and how she shows up on this podcast. And so she's being actually very respectful to you and to herself and to her reputation to not show up when she can't do her best work, which is something that I truly believe, especially as estheticians, with us having the ability to put our hands on guests, energy transfer is real. Mm-hmm. And so if you are coming into the treatment room carrying whatever that baggage may be, personal, professional, if you've got a weird aura about you, your client will feel that.
You sure will.
And vice versa. I feel some bad vibes from some clients from time to time.
The amount of Palo Santos I have burned, like either like around myself or like after they leave, I'm like, get that out of here.
Yes, absolutely. It's so real. I will just go stand outside in the freezing cold and just like take deep breaths and like shake out my hands of like, I know I'm carrying some sort of like funky attitude. I got to get this off of me.
Yes. The mindset is so, because as soon as you touch them, they can feel it. And I know that sounds really woo-woo, but, or you can feel them. You're like, whoa. I mean, I know we've all had this, like some of the things people have told me when they're laying down on a facial, I don't know if they've ever told anyone in their life. And some of the heaviest, really hard things, I was like, oh my God, like I don't know what to say, so like the vulnerability and stuff. And so you have to protect that, because then that also feels like you're just barely getting through the minute.
Absolutely. So important. Yeah. Which is just a testament to why we need to take care of ourselves, because your clients feel it, and it will affect your profitability, and it will affect your mindset, your burnout, all of it. So take care of you.
Yeah. And I think one of the best ways to take care of your business is take care of you.
100%.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, like I often think I could take on like 3 or 4 more clients, but if I did, I would have literally no free time. And so it's like, I have to always stop myself from being like, wait, I can actually take like 3 more. I don't have 1 spot left. I could take 3 more. I could take 4 more people. Cause it's like, yes, that time is there, but then I have no time for a doctor appointment or like anything else in my life. I'll just be working all the time.
And that's where I definitely found myself in November and December of letting that receptionist go. The calendar already had 0 blank space, and I made a business decision that required me to show up even more, and there was nowhere to put that. And that's where I quickly realized being booked and busy can absolutely be a detriment when there isn't that blank space to put fires when they happen in your business that you can't tend to it because you're overbooked.
Yeah, especially if you have employees, especially if there's multiple things going on, for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for being on the podcast.
I enjoyed it so much.
So exciting to have you.